why you don't enjoy being around people anymore, and why that's okay. Have you ever caught yourself wondering why being around people no longer feels the way it used to? If that question touches something inside you, know this: you're not alone. Many people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s begin to withdraw from social groups they once cherished. But this change isn't about losing interest, growing bitter, or giving up. It's about something shifting deep within. And more often than not, that shift is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. In this video, we're going to explore 6 powerful reasons why you might find yourself pulling back from others, even if you were once deeply social. These aren't surface-level theories. They come from real emotional experiences that many older adults live through, even if they rarely talk about them out loud. Some of these reasons may surprise you. Others may hit a little too close to home. But by the end of this video, you'll walk away with a deeper understanding of yourself and a little more compassion for the quiet distance you've created. Because sometimes choosing space is one of the most healing decisions we ever make. Let's begin. Reason number 1, the weight of old wounds. As we age, we carry more than memories. We carry emotional scars. Some are small, a disagreement here, a missed birthday there. But others go deeper. Betrayals, broken trust, being vulnerable only to be hurt. And over time, we stop putting ourselves out there so easily. Not because we're bitter, but because we've learned the hard way. Not everyone deserves access to our heart. Take Chloe Hour, 81. For decades, she hosted weekly dinners, her home full of warmth, music, and conversation. But over the years, close friends drifted. One betrayed her trust. Another disappeared after her husband passed. It wasn't one big heartbreak. It was a slow collection of small ones. Now she prefers the peace of her own company. Not because she dislikes others, but because she values calm more than appearances. There's a quiet armor we develop with age. A kind of inner boundary shaped by experience. When you've seen how quickly people can change or leave, you begin to guard your energy. It's not coldness, it's clarity. Psychologists call this relational fatigue, when maintaining relationships starts to feel more exhausting than fulfilling. It's common in those who've been emotionally hurt. And there's nothing weak about it. It simply means you've loved deeply, and now you're choosing carefully. You're not pulling away out of resentment. You're protecting something precious. Your peace, your time, your heart. Reason number 2, you crave peace more than chatter. In younger years, we often sit through conversations that go nowhere. Small talk, gossip, noise for the sake of noise. But as we grow older, our tolerance for those shallow exchanges fades. We begin to value silence, not as emptiness, but as restoration. Take Henry, a 76-year-old former salesman who used to love crowds and conversation. Now, he avoids social events unless he truly feels up for them. When asked why, he simply says, "I'm done talking just to fill the air." He isn't isolating himself. He's seeking something real, something meaningful. As we get older, our emotional energy becomes sacred. We lose the need to impress, the urge to prove. In its place grows a hunger for authenticity. We'd rather have one honest conversation than a dozen empty ones. And if that kind of depth isn't available, many of us would prefer a quiet evening alone with a good book. That's not retreat, it's refinement. Choosing where to give your energy isn't selfish. It's wise. It's strength. You've earned the right to say no, to choose peace over noise, sincerity over surface. Reason number 3, you feel misunderstood. At some point, the world around you changes, and so do you. The language, the pace, the priorities, they all shift. And suddenly, you feel out of step. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because fewer people take time to truly see where you're coming from. Ella, 79, a former teacher, once loved telling her younger family members stories, raising 5 kids, juggling work, volunteering. But now, when she shares, they glance at their phones, smile politely, change the subject. The message isn't loud, but it's clear. They've stopped listening. That quiet disconnection is exhausting. Over time, you begin to choose your own company. Not because you don't love others, but because you feel safer in solitude. This isn't about being alone. It's about being unseen. You speak, and no one really hears. You express yourself, and it's brushed off. After a while, silence feels easier than trying again. This is known as emotional invalidation, when your feelings are ignored, minimized, or brushed aside. And it happens to many older adults far more often than we talk about. But know this, your voice still matters. Your experience still holds value. And if others can't see it, that doesn't mean it's lost. It just means you've outgrown certain spaces. What you need now is authenticity, not performance. Real connection, not politeness. And if that's hard to find, it makes sense to pull back. Not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. Reason number 4, you're afraid of being a burden. There's a quiet fear that often grows with age, not just of illness or mortality, but of becoming too much for the people we love. You don't want to ask for help. You don't want to get in the way. So you hold back. You keep quiet. You stay home. This isn't pride. It's compassion. You want your presence to feel welcome, not obligatory. Herbert, 84, used to visit his daughter's family every weekend. But when his mobility declined, he started saying no more often. They've got their own lives, he said. I don't want to be in the way. His family never made him feel like a burden. But that fear lingered anyway. Because after a lifetime of being strong, being needed, being depended on, it's hard to ask for anything. It feels foreign, even shameful. But the truth is, your presence is never a burden to those who truly love you. Your needs are not a nuisance. They're an invitation to care. Still, the fear persists, and it makes you quiet when you want to speak, distant when you want to reach out. You retreat, not from people, but from the possibility of being too much. So if you've been holding back, remember this. Your worth isn't tied to how independent you are. It's in who you are. You're not a burden. You're beloved. Reason number 5, old friendships quietly fade. Not all relationships end in arguments. Some just fade. No drama, no fallout, just life pulling people in different directions. One day, you realize the people who used to fill your calendar aren't around much anymore. And it's not always sad. Sometimes it feels like peace. Other times it leaves a quiet ache. Victoria, 73, once took weekly walks with her best friend from high school. Then it became monthly, then once a year, then not at all. No fight, just different paths. We still care about each other, she says, but I think we've said everything there is to say. This happens more than we admit. Friendships tied to certain seasons. Raising kids, working together, don't always survive when life moves on. And that's not failure. That's growth. You start to recognize that your time and energy are limited and precious, so you become more selective, not because you don't care, but because your needs have changed. Some people who once lifted you now leave you tired. Conversations that once flowed now feel forced. And instead of clinging, you let go, with respect and gratitude. Yes, growing older means losing people. But sometimes it's you who chooses the distance because you're choosing yourself. Reason number 6, you found joy in your own company. At some point, the need for constant company fades, and in its place grows something beautiful. Solitude, not loneliness, not sadness, just a peaceful sense that your own presence is enough. James, 82, used to be the life of the party. His home was the place to gather. These days, he finds more joy watching birds from his porch than hosting events. When asked if he feels lonely, he laughs and says, "I've got enough memories to keep me entertained for a lifetime." That's not withdrawal, that's contentment. This shift often confuses others. They think you're isolating, but really, you're just tuning in to your own rhythm, your own joy, your own life. You no longer need to prove anything. You no longer feel guilty for resting. And in that stillness, you rediscover yourself. Solitude becomes sacred, a space for your thoughts to stretch, a time for your spirit to breathe. And it becomes one of the sweetest parts of aging, finally feeling whole, just as you are.
Final thoughts. Which of these 6 reasons felt most true for you? Was it the drifting friendships? The longing for peace? The quiet joy of being with yourself? Whatever it was, I hope you walk away with one clear truth. You are not fading, you are evolving. You're not pulling away because you're bitter. You're doing it because you've grown wiser. Years of life have taught you what matters, and now you're honoring that by choosing intention over obligation, peace over pressure, and connection that's real over company that drains. There's dignity in solitude, power in boundaries, and freedom in no longer chasing approval. So if you've been stepping back, take a moment to ask why. You may discover it's not about distance, it's about alignment. And let this be your reminder. In your silence, you are still heard. In your pause, you are still seen. And in your solitude, you are never alone. Leave a comment and let us know. What insight stood out to you most today? We read every word, and your voice truly matters. If this video touched you, please like, subscribe, and share it. Your support allows us to keep creating content that brings hope, clarity, and encouragement. Thank you for spending this time with us. We'll see you in the next one.